So welcome everybody. Welcome back to Connect Wednesdays. This is the place where we don't just chase headlines, we expose the blueprint beneath them. Tonight's not just another episode, it's a critical turning point. We're witnessing what may be the most deliberate economic pivot since 2008. Crypto's crashing, stocks are spiraling, the global markets are in pure panic mode. But listen closely. This isn't random. This isn't just about tariffs or market cycles. This is controlled demolition of the old world financial system, designed to make room for something new. And if you can't connect the dots, you'll understand how this moment, yeah, this one, is setting up the greatest transfer of wealth we've seen in our lifetime. So without further ado, let's dive in. All right, so first on the list, this is the elephant in the room. All right, the tariff timeline. We're going to talk about exactly how this trade war escalated. All right. So to make sense of what's happening today, you need to actually zoom out. We're not just dealing with inflation, interest rates, or economic policy. What we're in the middle of is an economic war, one that's been building in the shadows since Q1. So here's the exact timeline of events that brought us to this exact moment. And once you hear it laid out clearly, you'll realize none of this is coincidence. All right, so March 1st, 2025, this is the opening move. Trump returns to form and announces a fresh round of 30% tariffs on EU luxury goods. We're talking cars, wine, fashion. He hit France, he hit Germany, and he hit Italy. And officially, he cites unfair subsidies, but this isn't about handbags or horsepower. It's about leverage. It's about disrupting the alliances that previously existed. March 8th, Southeast Asia gets pulled into the war. Trump expands the tariffs to Vietnam, Malaysia, and then Thailand. He accused them of serving as proxy exports routes for Chinese goods to still be able to funnel through and dodge U.S. restrictions. So he basically tightened the noose, not just on China, but on the entire global supply chain. March 15th, this is when it gets a little spicy. China starts to actually respond. So they hit us with a 15% tariff. And this was on U.S. agriculture, soybeans, corn, and wheat. China was actually targeting our rural economy directly. All right, this was supposed to shake up the political base to pressure Washington by hurting the red state farmers. Then on March 21st, the Iraq strike. The U.S. retaliated with new tariffs on Chinese electrical vehicles, solar panels, and rare earth minerals, all critical to China's clean energy ambitions. Now, the fight isn't just economic, now it's geopolitical. So once we hit China's long-term plans for dominance, I knew it was on. So now we got March 25th. This was the shot heard all around the world. China offloaded 20 billion in US treasuries. They sent shockwaves through the bond markets. The yield spiked, the dollar started to stumble. And this is China signaling we're willing to destabilize debt markets. April 4th, the escalation actually reaches the peak. Trump hits 25% tariffs on every remaining Chinese import. It's roughly $300 billion in goods. At this point, every single product coming from China to the US is facing attacks. Now let's fast forward to Monday, Black Monday. All right, April 7th. The global economy reacts violently. The Dow Jones dropped 3,000 points. Over $8.1 trillion with a T is wiped out from US equities in just 72 hours. The crypto markets, we lost over $240 billion in liquidations. Taiwan bans short selling. This signals the crisis is officially global. China then freezes capital outflows to stop domestic panic. The hedge funds get hit with margin calls across equities, bonds, and digital assets. So this wasn't just a dip. This was a financial earthquake that took place. Yesterday, April 8th, China doubles down. China said, okay, if we're in a real war, let's have at it. They dump another 50 billion with a B in treasuries. This is the most aggressive financial maneuver to date. They're not bluffing whatsoever. They're attacking the US debt position directly, head on. And then we got today, April 9th, 2025. They go for the knockout. China hits the US with an additional 84% tariffs placed on all remaining US imports. American products are now effectively priced out of the Chinese market. The US exporters crippled overnight. You want to talk about war? This is it. This is no longer about fair trade. This isn't about soybeans, semiconductors. This is about economic supremacy. They're strategically trying to destabilize all other nations. Everybody's a target. It's not just about the US being a superpower. Everybody is at our neck as we're at everybody else's neck. So using tariffs, not as a tax tool, but as a weapon, this is the bottom line. The US isn't really reacting, they're initiating. Because behind those tariffs moves is something even bigger. And that brings us to what's really going on behind the curtain, behind the veil. So I got a question for y'all, and y'all could drop this in the chat. Do y'all think this is a random event? Yes or no? That's what I like to hear, man. Something tells me everybody that's a Skyton Academy is critical thinkers. Y'all can see what the rest of the world don't see. All right. So in this segment, I'll call this Black Swan or controlled demolition. All right. So what we're experiencing right now has all the symptoms of a financial crisis. Collapsing markets, dollar volatility, panic in the bond markets, emergency meetings that was not announced, right? They just happened. This isn't random, but this isn't the Black Swan. This isn't the true Black Swan. What this is controlled demolition. This is a strategy to force systemic change and to manipulate the Federal Reserve into doing something it wouldn't have done otherwise. All right, so let me explain. So the US now has over $35 trillion in debt. This is pure insanity, right? That alone is a red flag. But servicing that debt, paying the interest alone, it costs over $1.6 trillion annually, every single year, just due to these high rates. That's more than we spend on national defense. That's not sustainable. That's not scalable. That's financial suicide. So what's the move? The only way out of this is to slash interest rates to reduce the debt, servicing costs, and spark capital inflows. Basically, cut costs, bring money in. If y'all are paying attention, I know y'all damn well see Trump is on fire and he's doing exactly that. This administration is not playing no games. We're talking 5 trillion was bought in on one play, just one. So there's a lot of money that's coming in, and this is the type of capital that we need. We are literally depending on this for what's to come. So let's get into it. All right. The one person who's standing in the way, if you guys can only imagine, is Jerome Powell. They weren't moving fast enough. Jerome and the Fed, they didn't turn on that money printer when Trump said we need these rates cut and we need that money printer back on. Inflation is still sticky, but the Fed, they're just continuously moving cautious. So what did Trump and his team do? They did exactly what they do best, apply pressure, not through backdoor lobbying, but they weaponized policy. They dropped the hammer with tariffs, knowing exactly what would happen. The markets would break, crypto would collapse, the investors would panic, and the Fed would be forced to intervene under pressure. And it's already happening. So Wall Street insiders right now, They're pricing in an emergency rate cut of 50 to 100 basis points. This is possibly going to take place within hours, right? The Fed called a closed door, unscheduled FOMC meeting. No statement, no press conference, no Q&A, no nothing. And this only happens when something is truly broken behind the scenes, things that we allegedly can't see, right? So if this cut happens, and it likely will, the US House gets exactly what it wanted this whole time: a weaker dollar, cheaper debt, and an explosion of liquidity that's headed into an election year. This is it. So let's be real. Trump didn't actually crash the economy, right? I don't want to hear the nonsense of people just leading with emotion. Pay attention. He crashed sentiment, and he did it strategically. He's playing chess. He manufactured panic to create policy change. And this is a fiscal judo, and it's working. Because once the Fed cuts, the liquidity comes roaring back. And that's when the next wave begins. So this is when we're going to get into someone who's not panicking, someone who sees the full board, someone who took a sit back, right? And they truly control the board. This is like a big dog. You all know who he is, right? He's the CEO of BlackRock, 10 trillion under assets, under management. Larry Fink. This man is him, right? And when he speaks, you have to pay attention. And the reason you pay attention is because he's always going to give you the playbook. And the unique thing about this, they're using a big dog to actually do this. So he doesn't make public statements by accident. On April 7th, he didn't just offer up a prediction. He issued a signal. And this was for the whole world. He said, and I quote, "We'll likely see another 20% drop. But this is a buying opportunity people have been waiting for." On April 7th, every one of our Skyton Academy members, you guys got a notification. What did I tell you guys to do? I said, don't panic. I said, crypto's on sale. Everybody who's focused, this is your time to shine. You get to invest in projects that are cheap, that are on sale, that you believe in, right? I didn't give you guys financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor. I just told you guys exactly what I saw in real time, right? So you guys felt the urgency. You felt what was real in the moment. Those of you who executed, congratulations. But let's get back to Fink. So Fink understands truly the storyboard. He knows that the Fed's going to cut. The liquidity is going to come back. Risk assets like tech stocks, cryptocurrency, they're all going to reprice. They're all going to pump, right? And the smart capital was doing exactly what the rest of the world wasn't doing, positioning themselves during chaos. His message wasn't to warn people. It wasn't to alert the insiders. This was a setup, right? And he's not alone. Institutional money is quietly flowing back in. You've seen it today. You see this pump that's happening right now. Assets was down 30%. Trump put a 90-day pause on tariffs. This is breaking news. He just did this, right? I just got this news maybe 20 minutes before the call started. Just that alone, you see what the market is doing. You got assets that's back up 30%, 35%. So everybody who took heed, who was a part of Skyton Academy, and you guys did exactly what you were supposed to do, you're welcome. You know what I mean? Even if you wasn't a part of Skyton Academy, we've been telling you guys this. We've been setting this up. This is episode 88. Yeah, I better get familiar. All of these gems we be dropping, this is what this is about. All right. So now that you guys truly understand that institutional money is flowing back in, you got sovereign wealth funds, you got family offices, hedge funds, tech savvy venture capitalists, everybody you could think of. They all know the rules of this game. It hasn't changed. They just gone temporarily dark. That's it. For that one quick moment, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They got low, stayed quiet. The rest of the world was in panic. What were they doing? Buying these assets. leveraging the capital that they already have, preparing themselves for this digital revolution. So I just know that every single one of you guys have the same question. And there's people out there that might be joining us for the first time. They may have not even invested in cryptocurrency yet. They're just interested. So I'm gonna give you guys some gems. I'm gonna give you a nugget. So what should you be doing when all of this type of stuff is going on? My advice, champ, right? This is my advice. Never ever try to time the market. Never. You'll never catch it. I've been in this game 10 years. I don't think I've ever timed it perfectly. I don't think there's no such thing, right? Sometimes it's just happenstance or divine alignment. I guess I just haven't been in that alignment yet, right? And I'm going on year 11. So, again, what you guys should never ever do is try to time the market. Don't sell into the fear. And do not let temporary panic cause permanent mistakes. You guys got to do exactly what the smart players are doing. They're dollar cost averaging. They're buying real world utility projects. They're holding through this volatility because they understand one thing. This isn't the end of the market. It's simply a transfer. When the Fed pivots and the liquidity floods back into these markets, the whole entire industry and multiple industries, they go tiptoe upward and then they rip. Boom. Right in the blink of an eye. And what just exactly happened over the span of 3 days? Exactly what I just laid out for you. The market is back up. So if you're not in position, you're always going to be behind trying to chase the pump. And we don't chase green candles. So what I want you guys to do is just honestly, I'm going to lay this out and then we're going to move on. Never ever react. Control your emotions. You guys got to think like the architects do because that's who's truly winning right now. Everybody who's building, they're moving strategically. And you all have to do the exact same. All right. So now let's get into this is another major power move, right? And I tip my hat to the Trump administration for this. But this one is a little sketchy. So just follow me. So Trump actually shut down the DOJ crypto fraud unit. And this is a turning point for US crypto policy. Because while everybody else was focused on tariffs and market chaos, something major just happened behind the scenes that could reshape the future of crypto in the United States. And very few people are talking about it. On April 8th, yesterday, Trump officially ordered the shutdown of the DOJ's National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team, better known as the NCET, NCET. All right, they're the crypto fraud unit. Now, let me break this down for y'all. I'm gonna tell you guys exactly what was the crypto fraud unit, right? The NCET was launched back in October 2021 by the Department of Justice under the Biden administration. And they had a mission, right? 4 points. Investigate criminal use of crypto for fraud, money laundering, terrorism, etc. Right? They wanted to target all crypto mixers. For those of you who don't know what crypto mixers are, this is basically the platforms that you can use to maintain anonymity, right? Keep your credentials to yourself. You never had the KYC, and basically you can funnel money through different platforms without being identified, right? So it makes it harder to track you. You had DeFi platforms and privacy coins. So that was the main targets, was those three. Then their mission was to build enforcement actions basically against all cryptocurrency exchanges and developers. They didn't want nobody to flourish. They basically were leading with enforcement, right? They were doing the same thing the SEC was doing. But this was just a token out of Biden administration's coin purse. This is what they do, right? This is why innovation has been stifled. Their last mission was to coordinate with the IRS, the SEC, and FinCEN, and other international agencies to prosecute violators, right? So this was basically like a crypto SWAT team for the US government. And what it hurt the most outside of us, the retail investors, was innovation. So under NCET, we saw crackdowns on Tornado Cash. All of their developers damn near were arrested. You had investigations into Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, KuCoin, etc. You had civil and criminal threats. that scared away venture capitalists, and it slowed down institutional adoption. So I'm all for this, but the average person sitting back might ask, like, why was that shut down? That doesn't seem like it was bad things that they were, trying to kind of keep a lid on. Trump's administration believed that the inset overreached its mandate. We know this for a fact, especially with the SEC. They treated developers and entrepreneurs like absolute criminals. They created regulatory uncertainty, they stifled innovation, and it hurt the domestic capital formation. Basically, all the money that could have been created here with certain businesses and people creating just other businesses that were cryptocurrency or blockchain technology related, right? A lot of these things went to other countries. They went to Dubai, right? But now we're under new rule and thumb, and this is the why, right? They know that it was part of a broader anti-crypto stance, which led to Choke Point 2.0 and all of that stuff, right? But that was all the prior regime. So by dissolving this, Trump signaled a complete 180 shift in a federal crypto enforcement policy. Even his executive director of digital assets, he came out and said, we're entering the golden age for crypto in America. It's time to build, not prosecute. Now, that statement in itself is super impactful. And when you think about it, that's very much needed for every single one of us here that invest in crypto or even interested in investing in crypto. He's telling us that the money is coming back here. The businesses are coming back here. The rules, the regulations, the laws, the super net that they led with the other regime is now being taken away, right? They're trying to make it so that there's no regulatory fear, that goes away, right? It evaporates. The US-based projects can now see a green light to build without being blindsided by enforcement. Then you got venture capitalists and institutional guys and the capital that they bring. All of that money that went to Dubai, Singapore, Europe, it's all coming back. And now the developers, the true developers, the architects, the builders, the people we truly need for all of this, they can now feel confident launching protocols and projects onshore, right? Rather than going overseas. This is going to be the return of the US as a crypto innovation hub, right? So we're not just avoiding regulation, but we're headed towards clear rules, pro-growth policies, a regulatory reset, if you will. Now, I hear this, and as I'm doing my deep dive, I start to kind of sit back and I'm thinking, like, what's the bigger picture here, right? So we'll get into this in a second, but Ripple just acquired Hidden Road to bring institutions into crypto. Trump just shut down the crypto fraud unit, and all the rates are about to be slashed. The liquidity's coming back in. I'm like, the light bulb goes off. This is a perfect storm of capital, policy, and innovation all aligning. Like, if you're a hedge fund, sovereign wealth fund, tech entrepreneur, retail investor, whatever, the message itself is just loud and clear. The door's open. They want everybody to come here, come build, come invest. And that's how you see all of this money that Trump's being able to bring in super rapidly. I ain't gonna lie. This may be the most pivotal shift in US crypto history. Like, this is the moment where innovation finally gets priority, right? It's no more prosecution over that. The floodgates for money, capital, clarity, institutional trust, it's all opening up at one time. And this is a power move, if you will. And this right here, this is going to be a perfect segue. Speaking of power moves, let's talk about the one Ripple just made. Let's get into that, right? If you guys have been subscribed to our YouTube channel, you know exactly what I'm referring to. We did a crypto in 10. Ripple just acquired a company called Hidden Road. It's a brokerage for $1.25 billion with a B. This is the biggest cryptocurrency acquisition, period. So while most of the market was stuck reacting on fear, volatility. Ripple was making moves. And this move may very well redefine how global money moves for the next decades to come. They didn't just buy a company for headlines, they acquired Hidden Road. This is one of the fastest growing prime global brokers for that 1.25 billion. So the average person might be like, so what? Who's Hidden Road? What does this mean? Right? Why did they buy them? I got you. Hidden Road isn't just an average firm. This is a powerhouse in institutional finance. They cleared $3.6 trillion in annual volume in financial trades. I'm talking everything from foreign exchange currencies, bonds, digital assets, derivatives. Hello, Nugget. We've been talking about derivatives inside the academy. I hope y'all paying attention. All the way down to fixed income. They serve over 300 plus institutional clients worldwide. So by acquiring Hidden Road into the ecosystem, Ripple now controls the major part of the financial plumbing. This is the back-end infrastructure that actually moves value across markets. Ripple spent over a decade building the tech. Now they're acquiring the distribution. This acquisition allows Ripple to offer full service Wall Street grade trading and settlement for digital assets, all natively integrated with crypto rails. This is the move of moves. They just launched their US dollar stablecoin, RLUSD, and Hidden Road. They're going to make it instantly usable across all markets that they service. More importantly, Hidden Road's operations, they're going to migrate to the XRP ledger. And this is fact, 100% fact, not speculation. So billions of dollars and billions in daily transactions are being settled, recorded, and all secured right on the XRP ledger. The XRP ledger uses two assets natively, RLUSD and XRP. All right. So what could this actually mean? So I'm gonna run you guys through like a quick scenario, just show you how my mind works. Right. This isn't financial advice. This is just simple math, if you will. All right. So Hidden Road, they clear 3.6 trillion a year. Right. This is annual. If just 30% of that flows through the XRP ecosystem, that's $1 trillion. Right. XRP currently has a circulating supply of 58 billion. That puts XRP utility base value around $17 already. And right now, I think we just climbed back over the $2 threshold. If Ripple pushes all full 3 trillion or 3.6 trillion onto the XRP ledger, you're looking at a theoretical price of over $50. Now, obviously, adoption is going to take time, but this isn't speculation. This is infrastructure. That's that word I've been telling y'all about. That's that word Steve been telling y'all about. Infrastructure. Lock it into your brain. Ripple isn't betting on meme coins or hype. They're actually engineering the rails to this new financial system. Global trade, tokenized securities, tokenized treasuries, stablecoin settlement, real-time foreign exchange swaps, even down to central bank digital currencies. You all know exactly how we feel about that. We definitely don't subscribe to that, but it exists and it's been here since 2017. They've been working on that toolkit since Davos in 2017. If you don't know, you might want to go back and just do a little bit of deep diving. All right. But this move itself gives Ripple the licenses, the clients, the capability to be the true bridge between traditional finance and decentralized innovation. So they're not just building apps, they're building the roads, the toll booths, the tunnels. All of that is for the next generation of money, and it's going to travel right through it. So with this acquisition, Ripple just quietly positioned the XRP ledger to be the engine under the hood for tomorrow's economy. So what are we really witnessing here? This is not just market volatility. This is not just crypto corrections. We're witnessing a transfer of power from over-leveraged economies to decentralized solutions, from fiat fragility to programmable finance. The tariffs, the Fed pressure, the crypto enforcement rollbacks, the billion-dollar acquisitions, these aren't just isolated events. They're coordinated signals. This is a heads up to each and every single one of you guys out there. The US is clearing all regulatory roadblocks. The institutions are loading up behind the scenes. Crypto is transitioning from speculation to financial infrastructure. And while everybody else is panicking, the next wave of this digital revolution is actually happening right in our faces. We all got front row seats. So make no mistakes, 2025 is going to definitely be the year to remember, right? All the foundations were truly laid before this year. But now, for the next decade of global finance, 2025 is that year, all right? So if you guys been feeling in any way, right, in your emotions, there's nothing wrong with them. We all have them. But if you've been feeling discouraged, distracted, defeated, I got 3 words for you. Take a breath. Because when the smoke clears, the ones who held, the ones who studied, the ones who stayed the course, y'all all, myself included, will be standing at the forefront of a new financial revolution. So understand, when you see these events materializing and they're happening, the world is a stage. Crypto isn't dead. It's evolving, it's maturing, and it's almost showtime. So I truly hope each and every one of you out there stay focused, stay diligent, and you stay geared up for what's to come. And if you are not yet in crypto and you need a home, you need a place to go, you need a community to be around, first things first, you know who we are. It's Skyton Academy over everybody. There's no other platform doing what we do. And I'm not saying that to pat ourselves on the back. I don't care about that. I genuinely mean that. I genuinely mean there is no place like Skyton Academy. We're going to give you this work. We're going to give you expert insights. We're going to give you the visionary side of it. We're going to make sure that everybody gets exactly what they need. And every single person who's ever came into the academy, whether you was with us for a month, whether you've been with us for 3 or 4 years, you always leave better than you came. Whether it's temporary or permanent, our arms is always open. Our doors is always open. The community, everybody is going to edify you. Everybody's going to pour in. We all here on the same mission. And now that Steve is really like spearheading and going crazy with this implementation phase, this just opens the door for me to do what I do, right? For me to give you guys the data, the research, to talk my talk, right? So you guys can see how my mind works. And then you also get to see Steve actually implement and build, right? And add to ecosystems. And we all doing this under one umbrella. And you guys all got front row seats. You all got the ability to be able to be a part of this. All right. So in the description below, and I'm not talking to everybody on this call. I know almost everybody on this call is members. So we greatly appreciate you. But everybody, if you somebody else is watching, if you got a family member or friend that's nearby that's watching on the screen with you, invite them into the academy. I challenge every single person on this call to bring somebody into the academy. Because if we doing this on .Connect Wednesdays for free, absolute free, did anybody here pay to get on this call? If you paid, drop a 1 in the chat. I bet. I knew I wasn't going to see no ones because nobody paid to be here. This is free. This was off the muscle. This is because we are preparing you guys for everything that is to come. And if you properly position yourself and you're around the right people, you with the right community, you won't fall by the wayside. The only thing we asking you for is your time. And when you get into the academy, network, make moves. Because I know there's business owners, there's people that want to build in this new economy, right? You want to scale, you want to be a part of these ecosystems, and you have great ideas. Now is the time to actually network because the person that you're in the room with could very well be the person that snaps their finger and makes it happen. They take it from thought to actually materializing. And that's what we're about here. So this is going to formally wrap Connect Wednesdays, episode 88. We're going to call this one Tariffs, Takedowns, and a Turning Tide for Crypto. I hope you guys found value in this. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And listen, every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we here, rain, sleet, snow. All right? The Skyton way. Big love, y'all. See y'all on the next one.